She said, maybe you're not groom material. So I canceled the wedding, moved out, and let her go viral alone, with unpaid bills and no groom. I'm 34, and I was engaged to someone I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. Her name was Claire, 28, and we'd been together for almost 4 years. We had our ups and downs like anyone else, but when we got engaged, I really believed we were building something together. We started planning the wedding about 6 months ago, or rather, she did. Claire was all over it from day one. Color schemes, seating charts, Pinterest boards, and mood boards for photo shoots I didn't even know weddings required. She called it her vision. I mostly signed off on things and wrote the checks when needed. I trusted her to manage it, maybe too much. We opened a joint savings account specifically for the wedding. I transferred $20,000 from a year-end bonus I'd received. Claire said she'd contribute her $10,000 soon, once things picked up for her. I didn't push. I figured we were a team and we'd both show up in our own ways. For a while, everything seemed normal. Then the odd details started stacking up. I got an email from our venue thanking us for confirming the final walkthrough, which was news to me. A few days later, a photographer emailed us with last-minute changes Claire approved. Then a florist called and casually asked, "Is Claire still doing the surprise theme reveal at the ceremony?" Surprise theme? I brushed it off at first. Maybe Claire just got caught up in the details and forgot to loop me in. But something didn't feel right, so one night I logged into our wedding savings account, just to check in. There was $1,100 left, from $20,000. I stared at the number for a full minute before logging into the shared email we used for wedding vendors. And there it was, receipt after receipt. High-end skincare orders, hotel stays in Asheville and Charleston, wine tours, for $100 makeup trials, and a $2,000 charge labeled Bridal Content Creation Package. That one came with a note from the vendor, real-time wedding montage editing for TikTok and Instagram. At first, I thought I must have missed something. Maybe she was planning a surprise honeymoon or something extravagant for the wedding. I asked her about it that night. She didn't look surprised. "It's all wedding-related," she said casually, flipping through her phone. "I have to look my best. You know, for the memories." "All of it?" I asked. "The hotels, the wine tastings, that content package?" She waved her hand dismissively. "You wouldn't get it. You wanted to serve ribs and wear sneakers at our wedding. I'm trying to make sure we don't embarrass ourselves." I tried to keep my voice steady. "Claire, you spent $19,000 without even talking to me." She didn't even blink. "I invested in our big day. You should be grateful I took the reins. If it were up to you, we'd have burlap tablecloths and a playlist from your high school prom." That should have been the moment I walked away. But I didn't. Not yet. I was still clinging to the idea that maybe she was just overwhelmed, caught up in appearances, wanting things to be perfect. But deep down, I already knew. This wasn't about us anymore. It was about her. And I was just the wallet. A few days after that conversation, the line was finally crossed. We were sitting on the couch. Well, she was sitting, scrolling through her phone while watching one of those wedding reaction videos. I asked her if she had paid the final installment to the caterer. She barely looked up and said, "You really don't get how any of this works, do you?" That's when she looked at me, calm and collected, and said the words that stuck harder than I expected. "If this is too much for you, maybe you're not groom material. I can always find someone who values what I bring." She said it like she was stating a fact, like I was just another placeholder until someone more aligned came along. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just nodded. That night, while she was recording a podcast episode about pre-wedding anxiety, I started planning my exit. Not out of spite, but clarity. I contacted every vendor I could reach. It turns out Claire had insisted on putting everything in her name, full creative control, according to multiple people. I simply informed them I would no longer be participating as the groom and wished them well. Most were confused but understanding. A few weren't surprised at all. Next, I called my landlord. The lease was in my name, and I'd been covering rent since we moved in. I gave a 30-day notice and arranged for a moving company to come when Claire would be out recording another bride-to-be episode. Over the next 2 weeks, I kept quiet. I didn't change my behavior, didn't act cold or distant. Just normal. Routine. Let her stay wrapped up in her phone, her spreadsheets, and her carefully curated content. She only realized something was off when the movers showed up. She came home and saw the boxes. My books, my tools, my clothes in neatly folded piles. "What the hell is going on?" she asked, standing frozen in the doorway. I unplugged my computer and placed it in its travel case before answering. "I'm stepping away. Like you said, you can always find someone else." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. For a second, she looked like she wanted to laugh it off. But I didn't give her that space. She followed me into the hallway, rattling off questions, none of them really asking what went wrong. It was all logistical. "What about the venue? What about the photographer? What do I tell the guests? I didn't respond right away. I finished packing the last of my things, zipped up the bag, and looked around one final time. This wasn't my home anymore. She leaned against the doorframe. You're just leaving? I'm doing exactly what you suggested, I said. You told me I wasn't Groom material. I believe you. There was a flicker of regret on her face. Or maybe it was disbelief that I actually followed through. For the first time since this whole thing began, I felt like I had control, not over her, but over myself. Over my values, my future. No more forced smiles. No more pretending this was a partnership. Claire had been building a production, and I was just the background character she planned to edit out the moment the cameras stopped rolling. You're just gonna leave? She shouted as I picked up the last box. You're abandoning me weeks before the wedding? I turned around and looked her in the eye. No, I'm walking away from something that stopped feeling like a partnership a long time ago. Her voice cracked for the first time. But the guests? The dress? The content shoot? People will think I'm a joke. I didn't respond right away. I let the silence speak first. Then I said quietly, you cared more about likes than love. Now you can go viral alone. I left. No door slam. No final blow up. Just a clean exit. Over the next few weeks, I kept my phone on silent. Friends started texting when the wedding was suddenly postponed. Her social media blew up. At first, she tried to spin it, posting overly cheerful videos about navigating change with grace and how she was embracing solo bridal power. One video showed her walking alone down a flower-strewn path in her wedding dress, captioned, choosing myself, always #solo bride #empowerment. But it didn't land how she expected. People didn't see empowerment, they saw performance. And soon, the real story started leaking out. Local vendors began commenting on her posts, gently at first, then bluntly. One florist wrote, maybe spend less time filming reels and more time paying your bills. A bakery she ghosted shared a TikTok titled, when the bride of the year forgets to pay for the cake she custom ordered. Even her small following started turning. Comments like, why didn't your fiancé show up? And this feels more like damage control than healing flooded in. The curated image she built started crumbling under the weight of unpaid invoices and selective storytelling. She messaged me. A long, rambling paragraph. No real apology, just vague talk about misunderstandings, how maybe things got out of hand, and how we shouldn't throw away years over one rough patch. She ended it with, can't we just move past this? I replied with one sentence. You weren't building a marriage, you were building a brand. She never responded after that. Last I heard, she moved back in with her sister in Tampa, still chasing followers, still pitching herself as an expert on resilience and bridal stress, still pretending this was all her idea. And me? I rented a cabin in Colorado for a week. No phone signal, no Instagram, no timelines. Just nature, books, and finally working on the woodworking hobby I'd shelved for years, because Claire once said it was too rustic and a waste of time. Turns out, I was the one bringing value all along. Not with money, not with aesthetic choices, but with presence, commitment, and quiet reliability. Things that don't trend, but matter. She told me I wasn't Groom material. She was right. I was never meant to marry someone who saw me as a sponsor, not a partner. Now, I don't fund performances, I invest in peace. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.